When buying a tent, most people have three basic criteria. You'll obviously have budget, you'll obviously have weight, pack size, and you'll have suitability. You know, do you want a 2-season lowland woodland camping tent, or do you want something you can stick on top of Helvellyn in January? Once you've established those three facts, you've usually got a wide range of tents to choose from. You can look on YouTube for reviews, you can speak to friends, you can go on Facebook and ask for advice and tips on there. You can look for budget offers, for bargain basement offers, you can look for special deals, you can do all kinds of stuff, and you've got this huge array of tents that all meet your three main criteria. And after that, there's a lot of nice to haves. You know, do you want a trekking pole tent, or do you want a proper hoopy pole tent, or whatever? But when you're a tall person, that choice is narrowed drastically, because there aren't many tents out there that fit people of above average height. Now, I'm 6'3", 191 centimetres, something like that in new money. And even that height, I'm too tall for most mainstream tents. So when I'm trying to choose something, my search window is narrowed drastically. And I have to spend a lot of time trying to find something, because obviously you can't just go to a shop most of the time and get in all the tents, because not many places have all the tents. So for the last few weeks I've been digging down hard into what's the best tent to suit my budget, the pack weight, the suitability for what I need it for, and more importantly, that can accommodate me and my lankiness. And one tent keeps screaming at me. There was going to have to be a compromise, and one tent has been screaming at me and screaming at me and screaming at me. And it just seems to get the best reviews, and it seems to fit. Well, at least I hope it does, because I've not tried it yet. It's in this rucksack on my back. I've got my little 20-litre Alpkit Gordon, look. Tiny little thing. And it's bulging at the seams, which possibly shows you where I've had to compromise. So I'm going to have a look at it now, and I'm going to give you my first thoughts on it. I haven't actually even opened the package. It's still sealed in the package that the postman brought it in. So I hope it's the right one, and I hope it's all there. My friend has very kindly allowed me to find a corner of his one of his fields to pitch the tent in, and hopefully have a good look around it without being disturbed. So I'm going to go and set the camera up. I'll get this out of the bag, and we'll have a look and see what's inside it. And I'm really hoping, that I've made the right choice. So, crossing my fingers and really hoping that I've got the right package here. Well, it's green, that's a good start. And I'm pretty sure it's a tent, and I can see on the side it's got all the right information written on the packet. So what I bought is the Wild Country Helm Compact 2. Everything I looked at said that this was the right tent for me. The only thing, and the compromise that I've had to make, is on the pack weight. It's big and it's heavy. But something had to give. I had to stick to quite a strict budget. I set myself a budget for a reason, and I had to stick to that budget. And this, within that budget, was the best thing that I could find, because I've seen it on various videos performing outstandingly well in some horrendous weather conditions, which suits me down to the ground. The budget was right, obviously, and all being well, I should fit, by all reports and all accounts, and looking at the actual measurements on the Terra Nova website, I should fit, fingers crossed, because the way that it's shaped should take my large frame into account. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what this is, it's the Wild Country, which is the sort of budget brand from Terra Nova. It's the Helm Compact 2, so it's the newer version with the shorter poles, I believe. Packs down nice and small. And it's a 2-man tent in this version, Helm Compact 2. There's the 2 gives it away. It's a 4,000mm hydrostatic head. It's polyester, coated polyester. Superflex alloy poles, none of your DAC poles in this budget range. And the pack weight is 2.35 kilos. 2.35 kilos. 5 pounds and 3 ounces in old money. Now, if anybody has watched my channel previously, you will know that I had, for a short period, I had a Nature Hike Cloud Peak 2, which was 2.7 kilos. Now that was big and heavy, far too heavy for me. But it was a really good tent. But what I could see was going to let it down was the fact that the fly sheet didn't come all the way down to the ground. And as much as I thought it would probably stand up to decent strong winds, if it came to a bit of snow, driving rain, it was going to get underneath that fly sheet, and it was never going to be the right tent for me. So as good as I think it was, I'm not beating down on it, but it just wasn't right. So I needed to spend a bit more money and get something that would be a bit more robust. Now, again, if you watch my YouTube channel before, you'll see in the very last video I did, which is a couple of years ago now, I was so proud of my brand spanking new MLD Duomid XL in DCF, and it was my dream tent and all the rest of it. There's a story behind that that's no longer with me for reasons which I'll explain in another video. I'll explain it now. So basically I had this really expensive Gucci tent, but I wasn't getting out as often as I needed to, and I couldn't justify having it just sitting in the cupboard gathering dust. And I started feeling guilty about having it. It was eating me up because I'm thinking I really need to be using it, and I wasn't using it, so I ended up selling it, and instant regret. And of course, as soon as I sold it, I wanted to go camping again. So what I've decided to do is just buy something quite cheap that I can stick in a cupboard, and if I don't use it for 6 months, I'm not going to feel any guilt. I paid £230 for this. I won't say where I bought it from because I wasn't really happy with the service from the store where I bought it, but I bought it online for £230. I think you can get it for about the same price off the Terra Nova website if you use one of the discount codes out there. Check Paul Messner's channel, he's got a discount for Terra Nova, I do believe. Have a look on there. You can probably get it for around about the same price. I haven't bought the footprint. I don't really like footprints. They're just extra weight, and I don't really see the point. So £230, shop around. I think RRP at the minute is 300. Shall we get it open and have a look? See what's in there. More importantly, am I going to fit? So it comes in this lovely little stuff sack, which is one of these sort of open top jobs, so you can just stuff the tent in when it's pouring down with rain. Nice little drawstring on it. Take that out of there. Lose a few grams by leaving that at home. And then, as is customary with new tents, you've got a bit of tent material wrapping it up. And then you've got the actual tent itself. Now, I believe this comes fly and inner attached together. A little bag of pegs. I'm guessing these will be the standard Wild Country or Terra Nova V's. Yep, they certainly are. They look quite decent, to be fair. There's little V pegs. I probably won't use them. I tend to use my Easterns, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of those in the pack. They look okay. I'll put those down there for a minute. And the poles come in a separate bag. Now these are the Wild Country or Terra Nova Superflex alloy poles, and there are 2 of them, colour coded, a blue one and a red one. And with this being the compact, they are quite small and packable, so not much more than 2 in my hands. I don't know what that is. Is that about, I don't know, 12 inches, 13 inches, something like that. So they'll pack down nice and small, and of course you do get a little bit of extra silver pole should you snap one. Hopefully we won't be needing that, but I might take it with me. So we'll have a look at those in a minute. Let's drop those down there, and then you have the inner and the fly, which I'm assuming, or I'm hoping, they're attached together. It's quite exciting, this. Not every day you buy a new tent, is it? Although having said that, I do know some people who seem to buy new tents all the time. Phil Jackson, I'm looking at you. So, let's have a look. So this is a two-man, 2 vestibule tent. So there's a door at either side. I'll pick up that little bit of litter. So obviously when pitching it, you need to take that into account. The inner is clipped onto the fly. We haven't got any wind tonight. It's flat cartwheels. Just as they haven't got any wind, the wind picks up and I get a bit of a breeze. So let's have a look. How are we going to pitch this? Let's swing it round this way, I think. So we'll have the nice little logo facing the camera. Right. The tie-out point, nice little bits of Dyneema cord on a line lock, and they look to be reflective as well by the look of it. So we'll stick a few pegs in and work it out as we go. I do like these tie-outs. I prefer them much more to the heavy webbing ones that were on the Cloud Peak. These are much nicer, slightly easier to adjust as well when it's blowing a hoolie. Pegs go in the ground nicely. Just move a few bits out. Right, before I go any further, I'm just going to check. I'm definitely all in the frame. Okay. Should all be in frame now. Door there. And then obviously I'm not going to read the instructions. I'm assuming that there are 4 main tie-outs. I have watched a couple of pitching videos on this. One thing that I did learn from watching those videos is there's a bit of an issue with these rubbing, apparently, on where the poles cross over. From what I've gathered on there, or is that the reason? Or is it something to do with stressing the poles? If you put them in the wrong order, apparently it can stress the poles. So I've been told, or I've learned, that it's blue first. Now these poles seem to be going together quite well. These look like they are 8mm, I would guess. Maybe a bit skinnier, they could be 6 actually. So, got the blue pole, which is a straight one, and the sleeves are colour coded. So we'll put this into the blue sleeve, obviously. With any of these pole sleeve designs, it's always worth being careful as you push the pole through, just so it doesn't snag and potentially puncture the tent. I'm not going to put them into place yet. I will. There we go. On the red one. And the red one is pre-bent, is how I've heard it described, and I suppose that's probably the best way to describe it. It comes with a little kink in it, I believe. There we go. And that kink does actually come apart, so that's like it's worth looking at that. So in the corner there, look, there's a little section which forms the angle, and the poles just slip on either side of it. So it's not a bent pole as such, it's got like an elbow piece in, which is interesting. And that fits in there. As you can see, that's got like a bit of a bend to it, and then we'll push that through the red sleeve. find it. That's there. So the red sleeve is considerably shorter. It's probably only, looking at that, the blue sleeve runs pretty much the full set length of the tent, or width, whichever way you want to look at it, whereas the red one only covers probably maybe 2.5 feet over the top. I'm sure there must be a reason for that. Maybe it's because that's coming down over the doors. Okay, right, so let's pop these into here now. If I can show you this, I might do a little bit of... So each of these webbing straps come out of the end, which accommodate the tips of the poles. Now there are 2 holes in here, which I've heard people say they can be double poled. I'm wondering if that would mean that I can put it into the the hole nearest the fly sheet to give perhaps a slightly higher pitch, and then put it in the one furthest away. And if you do that on all 4, does that just drop the fly sheet down a little bit? Perhaps? I don't know. I'm just guessing. We'll find out. So, blue first, I was told. So let's do blue first. We'll put it in the innermost hole first, and we'll see what happens from there. Of course, being somebody who prefers to use a trekking pole tent, I've got to put from here, that's not going through very well. So it's caught in that sticky somewhere by the feel of it. Let's have a look. No. Now I think I just need to use a little bit more brute force and ignorance. I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's all it was. A bit more BFI. Right, let's pop the red one in. This side first. Again, I'll put these in the innermost holes and see what happens. And they just, the camera can see that, pop into there. And that, as I say, is that. Now, this is a freestanding tent, so I should be able to pick it up and move it around. Obviously if I didn't have pegs in. So, okay. And then we have, on these red ones, where the sleeve stops, we have these little pole clips. I think there's only one on this side. And they don't fit snugly, that's quite loose on there, okay. And then one on this side. Okay. Now that I've got that poles in, I'm going to pull these pegs out because I'm not convinced that I've put that put those pegs in the right place. And being as we've got no wind, and we are just experimenting here, let's whip the pegs out. See what happens. So, pick it up, move it around. I do like that. I mean, obviously with a trekking pole tent you can't do that, and it is quite a nice touch, as long as it's not blowing a hoolie. And in fact, looking at that now, for the benefits of the camera, let's swing this round, because that, I believe, is the door. There we go. Right. Right. Okay, that appears to be pitched. And even with those poles on the innermost holes, that fly sheet is still very, very low to the ground. So maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's get some of these guys out and we'll have a look at it, see how solid it's going to be when properly pitched. Now interestingly, at the minute we've got 4 spare pegs. See if we need them inside, shall we? So, nice big storm flap over the doors. I like that. 2 Velcro spots, and there are also on this compact model. There's also a little clip at the bottom to keep the door closed. So if it's really windy, the door zip shouldn't ride up in the night, which is a nice touch. I do like that. So let's have a look. Is this a double zip? Yes, it is. So we can open the top to allow some ventilation, or to have a look out to see if it's worth getting up for a sunrise or not. So we'll leave that one fastened up to the top. Open this one. Pop the clip. Right. Okay, let's just chuck those down there. Simple roll back door with an elasticated toggle on there, which I really like, going into just a polyester loop on the inside. Being elasticated, that keeps the door back nice and snug. I like that. There's a webbing strap running underneath the tent. Whether that allows extra tension, I'm not sure. Let's go and have a look around the other side and see if there's a pull tab. No, it doesn't seem to have any extra support on there. Sorry, any way of tensioning that up. Maybe it's something to look at. So, first impressions are the vestibule doesn't look as big as it did on some videos I've seen. However, I do think that I could probably pitch this out a bit better. I've still got a bit of flappiness down here. Sort that out later. So, into the tent. One-handed zip. Oh yes. That's nice. Zip goes back nicely with one hand. All the way around with a triangle shaped door. Okay. First impressions, being totally honest, this vestibule area seems very small. I can tuck that back a little bit. There's no adjustment on the inner at the corners, so you haven't got a huge amount of space in this vestibule. And I do think that's a little bit flappy. I've got a feeling that I should improve that. with a slightly better pitch, possibly. Possibly. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, I can work with that, especially considering I've got a vestibule at the other side as well. So, like a lot of gear and stuff can be stowed over there. And in here, there's a load of space. Let's show you. So, looking inside, switch to a wider angle. You can see the vestibule there's not massive. It's the size of my hand, which is a normal sized hand, despite me not being a normal sized person. But the actual interior is absolutely massive. I brought my thermarest with me, which I'll put that in a minute. Now then, one of the things that made me think this would work, because often you'll see on the measurements, you'll see like the floor is 220 centimeters and you think, oh fantastic, but then the angle at the sides is so steep that actually you don't get 220 centimeters, because really that's only at the very bottom and then it rapidly comes in. And what I like the look of here is, I don't know if the camera's really showing that up, the sides certainly, the sides seem to go up sort of almost vertical for a good foot or so, which I'm hoping should give me enough room to get my sleep pad in and still leave plenty of headroom. I'm quite impressed. Let's have a look around. So, certainly looks good when it's pitched. I'll show you the close-up of these pegging points. So you peg in there, and then you just got your line locks on here, which is just a simple pull, which is nice. And then these are the double pegging points that I was talking about. Now at the minute I've got them on the inner one. I'm wondering if I should have put them on the outer ones. And maybe I'm thinking it the wrong way around. I wonder if they go on the outer ones, would that pull everything a bit tighter? In theory it probably should, shouldn't it? Because it's going to stretch things. Maybe I've been thinking about this the wrong way around. I'll have a wander around and I'll swap them in a sec and see if it makes a lot of difference. I've got a feeling it would do. And then again, on this side we have another door. These little vents either side of the door, they've got a piece of wire in here which you can sort of mould roughly to shape, and then up inside there you've got some mesh right at the very top. It comes down low enough so it should keep any sort of sideways rain out, I would hope. So I'll show you the door here. So there you got your little clip. So yeah, so that's clipped in there. So you've got this nice little clip at the bottom, which should, in theory, stop the stress on the bottom of the door and stop this zip from riding up in the wind. And then it's just a simple case of pinching the clip in order to release it. And then your two little Velcro tabs underneath the storm flap. Pop the Velcro tabs off, storm flap back, and this comes up in one nice, well, almost snagged right at the very top. So let's just open this door, and then on the inside, I believe, yeah, so on the inside, when you've unzipped your door, there's a very handy little mesh pocket there, and that just stuffs inside there, keeps it out of the rain and the mud and stops it from flapping around, which is a nice little touch. I've heard some people complain about these pockets being a bit saggy. I can kind of see that. We'll have a look around the sides. I don't know if the camera's picking it up there, but you can see how the inner's clipped on. There's a good sort of 2 or 3 inch gap between inner and outer there. I kind of like that. And then obviously we can see straight through to the other side. Bear with me, I'm going to put these poles into the outer holes and see if that makes a difference. 1 second. So that does seem to have made a bit of a difference. I've moved those poles out into the outermost holes. I'm guessing the extra 4 pegs could possibly go through these and peg these out as well. Maybe. I don't know. But what that has done is open the vestibules out a little bit. Let's have a look around the other side. Yeah, that's made a big difference to the vestibules actually. It doesn't seem like much because it's probably only an inch between the 2 holes, if that. But it has made quite a lot of difference. There's quite a lot more, relatively speaking, there's quite a lot more space in there now. And also, no, I thought that might have pulled the inner a little bit tighter, but it hasn't. Okay, well, let's get the airbed in and see if see how much difference that makes. See if I've got enough space, because that's the crucial factor, isn't it? 1 second. So what I've just found, it's hard to see in this long grass, but on the inside of here there are some webbing straps, and I have been able to tension the inner a bit more. So now what I have in here is a much more usable space. It's put a bit more tension on there, and as you can see, if I stick my airbed in the middle, I've got some space at the top, and I've got some space, quite a lot of space in fact, at the bottom. Now bear in mind this is the NeoAir X-Therm, and it's the large long one, longest one you can get, obviously, because I'm a long person. So I think this is about 189 centimeters long. Let me just pop the tripod down, and we'll do the let's lie in a tent and see if I've got any space, shall we? So lying flat out, even with my shoes on, I'm only just touching the fly. Only just. And bear in mind I'm a side sleeper, so if I'm on my side, oh yes. And even with a pillow, I've got headroom. Not a lot. As long as I stay central, I've got headroom. Hey, winner! Let's have a look. So, down there, look. So my feet are on the edge of my mat, only just touching the fly. And then at this end, I've still got a good 6 inches or so above my head, which I've got to say, I'm more than happy with, because that was the all-important thing. Did I fit? Now inside here, pretty standard. You've got these 2 big pockets at either end. Obviously your little tucky away door pockets that you've seen there, and then you've only got the one hanging loop, and it is just a loop, so you know your lantern or whatever you hang up will need to have a hook or a little loop on it. But other than that, it's dead simple in here. Now you could fit 2 beds in side by side at a push, but really it's a big one-man tent. It's a big one-man tent. Vestibules aren't as big as I'd have hoped, but there's enough room there to get my stove in there to cook comfortably, and if worst comes to worst I could zip the doors up and there's still plenty of room in there. Stretching the floor of the inner out has tightened up this bathtub quite a bit, so that sort of collapsed that, and it's not as bathtubby, but not the end of the world. Overall I'm quite impressed. A little bit of ventilation. One of the things that did attract me to this was the fact that it's a solid inner pretty much, with mesh at the top of the doors for ventilation. Look at that one-handed zip, that's just brilliant. So yeah, you got your mesh panel at the top of the doors, and then the rest of it is a solid inner. So I'm hoping come the windy, blustery conditions that it will keep me fairly warm as well. Overall, I'm very impressed. Let's have one last look around outside. So what do I think of the Wild Country Helm Compact 2? I'm pretty chuffed. It fits the bill. The only thing, like I say, is the weight. 2.3 kilos. I can probably reduce that a little bit. I've got some lighter pegs that I can use. I obviously wouldn't use the stuff sack. It would go into smaller, lighter dry bags. I can probably get it down to about 2 kilos maybe. Maybe just over. But that had to be the compromise. I had to compromise on something, and it was always going to be weight for the budget that I wanted to play with. I'd set myself a budget of £250. At that price, I'm more than happy to chuck it in the cupboard and forget about it. And if I don't use it for 6 months, I don't feel any guilt. It doesn't really faze me that much. The problem I had before was I had this Gucci all singing, all dancing thing sitting in the cupboard, and I wasn't using it. This fits the bill perfectly. I fit in it. It should stand up to the riggers. I mean, it's solid. That's pretty damn good. And like I say, you've only got to have a look around YouTube and you'll see that there's plenty of people out there who have camped in one of these in some pretty serious conditions. So I'm going to get packed up. I'm going to thank my buddy for letting me use his field, and I'm hoping to get this out in the real world on top of a hill somewhere, mountain possibly, definitely in the Peak District in the next couple of days. So once I've done that, I will come back with a report on how it held up in some real life conditions rather than a nice dusky field in the countryside. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope this has been helpful for any of you taller people, and all being well, I will have some more content coming your way very soon. Thanks so much. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.